His body is changing, and you feel it even from afar. He's not speaking, he's not texting, he's not reaching out, but his body is already responding. While his mind tries to stay in control, his body is giving away the truth he can't yet say out loud. His soul is preparing. You think it's just silence, but behind the silence, something is unraveling. The divine masculine is experiencing very real physical symptoms. Strange aches, sudden fatigue, emotional waves with no clear cause, sleepless nights that don't make sense. Have you felt a pressure in your chest that doesn't belong to you? Woken up exhausted, as if you were dreaming his emotions all night? Felt his energy in your body, as if he's reaching for you without even knowing how? It's not your imagination. It's his body reacting to the approach of union. And before he returns, before he can meet your gaze in truth again, his body will start to shed what his mind still clings to. You'll see the signs, and you'll know he's getting closer. Before he can speak it, before he can admit it, his body already knows. You've wondered, haven't you? If he feels this connection, why does he act like nothing's happening? If our souls are so aligned, why is he so disconnected physically? But that's just it. He isn't disconnected, not in the way you think. In fact, his body is often the first to receive the signals. Before the mind understands, before the heart surrenders, before the ego breaks, the body begins to tremble, because the body doesn't lie. It reacts to shifts the soul is initiating. And when union draws near, the masculine's physical form can no longer suppress what the spirit is awakening. And that's where everything begins. Because while he's trying to rationalize your absence, while he's convincing himself he moved on, his body is starting to short-circuit the illusion. Suddenly, he can't sleep through the night. He feels exhausted even after resting. He's more irritable, more emotional, more sensitive to things that never affected him before. He may not realize what's happening, but you do, because you've lived this. You've gone through the phase where your body became a battlefield, when your chest tightened with no reason, when your appetite changed, your dreams intensified, your hormones felt like they were spinning out of control. You thought something was wrong, but it wasn't dysfunction. It was activation. And now it's his turn. Because the divine masculine's awakening doesn't start in his logic. It begins in his nervous system. It shows up as overwhelm, as body aches, as sensitivity to sound, to light, to emotion, as restlessness that he can't name but can't escape. And yet, he doesn't talk about it, because who would understand? The culture he was raised in taught him to power through, to ignore, to numb. But the soul doesn't care about culture. The soul has its own rhythm, and now the rhythm of union is pressing against his skin, moving through his breath, disturbing his sleep, twisting in his stomach. He's feeling it. He just doesn't have the language to describe it yet. And that's why he might look distant, but you feel him closer than ever. Because you're not connecting through conversation. You're connecting through the frequency of embodiment. He feels your field. He feels the change in your energy. He feels the softness you now carry without collapsing. He feels the true in your absence, even louder than in your presence. And his body is responding. It's agitated. It's confused. It's craving something deeper, but doesn't know where to find it. And here's what most don't realize. His soul is leading this process, but it's the body that breaks first. Because you can lie to your mind, but your body always tells the truth. He may not believe in twin flames. He may not understand spiritual awakening. He may not even be aware of what union means. But he knows he's not okay. And the deeper you drop into your own body, the more you feel him, not just emotionally, but physically. His panic shows up as a tightness in your chest. His longing becomes a wave in your stomach. His heartbreak triggers a sudden tear in your eye, even on a calm day. Because when two souls are connected on this level, the body becomes the bridge. And right now, that bridge is glowing. He may think you're gone. He may think the chapter is closed. But something in him knows you're still here. I still feel her. I still need to understand what this is. Not through thought, not through logic, but through the quiet ache of his bones, through the way his heart races when he sees your name, through the way his hands tremble when he remembers your touch, even if it's been years. Because no matter how hard he resists, the body remembers. And your frequency lives inside that memory. So when his sleep starts to change, when his energy drops for no reason, when his body aches in strange, unexplainable ways, it's not a health crisis. It's a soul awakening. It's the body aligning to the timeline of union, even if his ego is still catching up. And as the divine feminine, you are the witness. You are the one who sees what he can't say. So trust your knowing, because if you've been feeling him lately, if your body has been carrying things that don't belong to you, if you've had the urge to check on him out of nowhere, without any external reason, you're not crazy. You're connected, and his body is already whispering back. He doesn't understand it, and maybe neither do you. But suddenly, for no logical reason, his body feels heavy, as if something invisible is weighing him down, as if his legs don't want to move, as if his chest carries a pressure that won't release. He blames it on stress, on work, on sleep, but deep down, something in him knows this is different, because it's not just tiredness, it's a soul-level exhaustion, and it always begins right before the shift. The divine masculine starts to feel it when the old world begins to collapse, but the new one hasn't landed yet. It's the in-between, the place where his body is no longer able to carry who he used to be, but doesn't yet know who he's becoming. And that is exhausting, physically, emotionally, energetically. His routines begin to feel forced. His passions fade. Even the things that used to give him joy no longer hit the same. He may sleep 10 hours and still wake up drained. He may take breaks but never feel rested. He may cancel plans, miss calls, disappear from people, not to be rude, but because his system is shutting down the noise. And why? Because when his soul gets louder, everything else starts to dim. This isn't laziness. This isn't depression. This is energetic transition. His higher self is rearranging the field, realigning the body, rewiring the nervous system to prepare for a truth he hasn't fully faced yet. And this preparation demands energy. It demands presence, stillness, slowness. But the masculine wasn't taught how to rest. He was taught to push, to perform, to suppress discomfort by working harder. So when the fatigue comes, he resists it. He drinks more coffee. He pushes through the workout. He numbs with screens, substances, or distractions. But no matter what he tries, it doesn't work. Because what's draining him isn't physical, it's spiritual. And you, divine feminine, might be feeling it too. Have you felt more tired lately, even though you're caring for yourself? Have you felt waves of heaviness that don't seem to belong to you? Have you woken up from dreams of him and needed hours to ground again? That's not just empathy, it's energetic merging. His field is brushing against yours, even in silence. Because as he collapses inside, your presence becomes an anchor, a lighthouse, a frequency he doesn't fully understand, but keeps returning to again and again. And that return takes energy. Every time he thinks of you, his body responds. Every time he dreams of you, he downloads something new. Every time your name enters his heart, his soul starts adjusting to the vibration you now hold. But that adjustment costs him something. It costs him comfort. It costs him the false identities he used to hide behind. It costs him the emotional numbness he once relied on to survive. And so he becomes tired. But this isn't the tiredness of someone who needs a nap. This is the tiredness of a soul shedding lifetimes of avoidance. It's deep, it's sacred, it's preparation, because before he can rise into union, he must rest into truth, and that truth is terrifying to his ego, because it means change, it means choice, it means letting go of the known to reach for something invisible. It means letting himself feel again. And that's why his body is slowing him down. It's saying, stop running, stop numbing, stop pretending. It's saying, feel her, face this, let go. And he may not listen right away. He may fight it. He may spiral. He may even get angry at his own exhaustion. But the fatigue will not leave, because it's not a flaw, it's an instruction. So if you've been feeling him pull back, if his energy has gone quiet again, if something in you feels heavy even when life is okay, trust it. His body is changing and yours is sensing the shift. He is surrendering slowly, not with words, but with weight, with stillness, with fatigue. He is learning how to feel again, not in emotion, but in energy. And the divine masculine doesn't rise through force. He rises when his body finally refuses to carry the past. That's what this tiredness means. It's not weakness, it's the beginning of union, lived through the bones. He doesn't know why it happens, but it does. A sudden pressure, a tightness, a strange ache that settles right in the center of his chest, sometimes sharp, sometimes dull, but always there. He might think it's stress. He might worry it's something physical, and he may even try to ignore it. But no matter what he tells himself, it won't go away. Because this isn't just tension, it's truth pressing in from the inside out. The divine masculine is starting to feel something he spent years running from, his own heart. And now the wall is cracking. That tension in his chest, it's not random. It's the energy of resistance meeting the force of awakening. It's every emotion he never processed, every word he never said, every piece of grief he buried so deeply he forgot it existed, now rising all at once to the surface. The body is sacred, and the heart center is one of its most powerful portals. And when union draws closer, that portal begins to open, with or without permission. But here's the thing, He wasn't taught to feel his heart. He was taught to lock it down, to protect it, to live above it. And so now, as the soul begins to stir inside him, as the connection with you grows louder in the energetic field, his body responds with tension. Why? Because his system doesn't know how to process love that doesn't demand performance. He's used to relationships built on need, not frequency, on control, not connection, on validation, not vulnerability. But with you, that doesn't work. With you, the mirror is too clear, and that clarity, it activates his chest, because it activates the space where his soul has been locked away. Have you felt it too? That sudden sharpness in your chest that comes out of nowhere, the wave of pressure that doesn't belong to you but passes through you. The moments when you touch your heart instinctively without knowing why. That's the tether. That's the energetic thread that binds your hearts in silence. Because when he thinks of you, even for a second, his chest reacts, his breath shortens, his nervous system floods. And the moment your name enters his heart, his body starts to remember. Remember the moment you first looked into him and saw everything. Remember the softness in your voice, the acceptance in your presence, the ache in your silence. And suddenly, the tension rises, not because you bring pain, but because he's realizing he's never truly known peace, not like the kind he tasted when you were near, and the body doesn't forget that kind of peace. So even if he's miles away, in another life, with someone else, his chest still tightens, because you are not a memory. You are a frequency, and that frequency is pressing into the places he blocked for years. So what does he do? He tries to push it down, to distract, to pretend he doesn't feel, but the pressure builds until he finds himself sighing more often, needing deeper breaths, rubbing his chest in meetings, waking up in the night with an unshakable tightness, looking up symptoms that all say anxiety, when in reality, it's remembrance. His heart is trying to open, and it hurts, not because of you, but because everything false has to break first. It's like a muscle he never used. Now that it's moving, it feels sore, unstable, raw. But underneath that tension is the beginning of softness, of surrender, of the kind of presence he never thought was possible until you entered his field. And now that you've stopped chasing, now that your energy has turned inward, now that your radiance speaks louder than your words, his chest is screaming what his mouth still won't say. Come home to truth. Come home to her. And while he may still resist, while he may still delay the return, his body is already moving in your direction. So if you've felt it, that mysterious pressure, that sudden emotional swirl, that pull in your heart out of nowhere, you're not imagining it. You're receiving the signal, and the signal says, union begins here, in the body, in the heart, in the place where silence becomes feeling, and feeling becomes truth. He's exhausted, but he can't rest. His body wants sleep, but the moment he closes his eyes, something stirs. Dreams, flashes, memories, energy. He wakes up in the middle of the night, confused, sometimes sweating, sometimes sad, sometimes with a deep ache he can't name. And no matter how many hours he stays in bed, he doesn't feel restored, because he's not just sleeping, he's purging. The masculine's body has entered a sacred phase of transformation, and his sleep is no longer a place of escape. It's become a portal of emotional release. This is where his soul does the work he still resists in waking life. When the mind is quiet, the truth gets louder, and the truth doesn't ask for permission. During sleep, he can't lie, he can't perform, he can't hide behind logic or distraction. So the emotions come, the visions, the strange symbolic dreams that don't make sense but leave a mark. Sometimes you're there. Sometimes he sees himself lost. Sometimes he wakes with tears in his eyes and no memory of why. That's not coincidence. That's cleansing. Because the soul cannot rise into reunion carrying the weight of unprocessed emotion. And the divine masculine has held back more than he ever admitted, even to himself. He carries shame he never voiced, regret he thought he buried, longing he tried to replace, love he didn't know how to receive, so he pushed it away. But in sleep, all of it returns, because his body needs a way to release what his heart refused to feel. And sleep becomes the sacred doorway. Have you felt it? Have you had dreams that felt more like messages than fantasies? Have you woken up overwhelmed, not by your pain, but by something that felt like his? Have you felt the need to cry first thing in the morning, even though nothing in your life was wrong? That's because his field is touching yours, even when you're not aware, even when he hasn't spoken in months, even when he swears he's moved on. The cord remains, not as an attachment, but as a frequency. And right now, that frequency is active during the night, because that's when his soul can breathe. That's when his defenses are down. That's when he's most open, and that's when the divine feminine, your energy, often reaches him. You appear in dreams, not always as yourself, sometimes as a guide, a voice, a flash of light, a presence that he doesn't fully understand, but feels deeply. And when he wakes, he remembers, even if he denies it. He carries that energy into the day, and something begins to shift. He questions more, he feels more, he gets quiet, he avoids certain people, he replays moments he tried to forget. Why? Because in the quiet of sleep, he touched truth again, and the body remembers what the mind tries to erase. He may not be ready to act on it. He may not fully understand what's happening, but the emotional purge has begun, and once it starts, it cannot be stopped. Every night he resists your memory. The soul brings it back. Every morning he tries to pretend it didn't matter. The body reminds him it still does. This is the sacred undoing, the slow dismantling of emotional blocks, the breaking down of denial, the softening of defenses. And it's painful, not because love hurts, but because everything in him that isn't love is being stripped away. His dreams aren't random, they're assignments, they're healings, they're rehearsals for truth. Because one day, he won't just feel you in sleep, he'll feel you in his arms again. And when that moment comes, he'll remember the nights he woke breathless, the tears he cried without knowing why, the images he couldn't shake, the sound of your voice, not in his ears, but in his heart. So if your own sleep has been restless lately, if you've been dreaming vividly, even emotionally, if you've been waking up with heaviness in your chest or water in your eyes, you're not just tired, you're tuning in. Because as he purges, you receive the waves, and your job isn't to fix it, or carry it, or chase him through the astral. Your job is to hold your field, to wake up with compassion, not confusion, to ground back into your body, to breathe, to whisper, he's healing, and I'm not his anchor, I'm his mirror. Because when you choose stillness, when you choose self-love, when you stop analyzing and start trusting, you become the very peace his soul is seeking in sleep. And one day, he'll wake up and realize it wasn't just a dream. It was a message, a preparation, a memory of home. He's eating differently, or not eating at all. He's gaining weight out of nowhere, or losing it without trying. His cravings change. His hunger becomes unpredictable. And no matter what he does, his relationship with food and his body feels off. It's not just physical. It's not a diet issue. It's not willpower, it's energetic realignment. Because when the divine masculine begins to shift toward union, his body starts to purge, not just through sleep, not just through emotion, but through what he consumes and how his body processes it. You've likely been through this too, haven't you? Those moments in your awakening where your appetite completely changed, where certain foods made you feel sick, even though you used to love them, where your body rejected what it once tolerated. It's because the vibration was changing, and now it's happening to him. But here's the difference. You were likely aware of the spiritual connection behind it. He's not. So he's confused. He doesn't know why he suddenly doesn't enjoy the same meals, why his stomach feels sensitive, why he eats and still feels hungry, but not for food. Because the truth is, he's not hungry for food. He's hungry for something deeper, for presence, for peace, for truth, for you. And the closer he gets to union on a soul level, the more his body begins to revolt against the life that no longer matches his inner truth. This shows up as weight gain or loss, because energy is moving. If he's gaining weight suddenly, it could be his system trying to ground an unstable energy field, trying to hold on to something familiar while everything else feels like it's slipping. If he's losing weight, it may be because the illusions are beginning to dissolve, because the distractions are no longer feeding him, because something inside is beginning to release, and the appetite that's connected directly to his emotional state. Sometimes he binges to feel full, to avoid feeling the emptiness. Sometimes he can't eat at all because his body is too full of emotion and there's no room for food. He doesn't always realize this is spiritual. He might blame stress or say he's just not hungry. But something deeper is happening. His digestive system is tied to processing truth. And now that truth is waking up. Everything in his gut is moving, literally. Because the gut is where we store unresolved emotion. The stomach holds grief. The intestines hold fear. The solar plexus holds control and identity. And now, all of that is being stirred. Because the union energy is not just romantic, it's transformational. It's the kind of vibration that says, you can't carry the old version of you into this. And his body knows that. So it begins the purge, through appetite, through weight, through cravings and aversions. Sometimes he craves sugar, comfort food, old favorites, not because he's hungry, but because he's starving for emotional safety. Sometimes he pushes food away entirely because his body knows it can no longer process dense energy the way it used to. It's not about food, it's about frequency. And you, divine feminine, may feel this too. Have you felt your own appetite change? Felt drawn to certain foods that ground you? Or repelled by anything heavy, processed, artificial? That's your body aligning. It's tuning itself to the vibration of what you're becoming. and he's doing the same, even if he doesn't know it yet. You might even notice eating patterns syncing up without contact. You feel full when he's avoiding food. You feel drained after he binges. You feel emotional when he's storing grief. That's the cord. That's the sacred link between your bodies, not just your hearts. And in this moment, his body is speaking a truth. His mouth still can't say, "I'm not who I used to be," and my body is trying to keep up. So what can you do? Trust what you feel. Support your own body with love and nourishment. Send peace to his through the field, not by worrying, but by anchoring in your own truth. You don't need to carry his process, but you can mirror what embodied love looks like. And that love says, I honor the shifts. I don't panic at the change. I trust the body, because the body never lies. So when you notice your own appetite shift, when you feel an ache in your stomach out of nowhere, when you crave only clean, high vibrational food and don't know why, smile, because that's union working through the body, breaking down old identities, preparing for something purer. He's not failing, he's transforming. And the body is showing it, one bite, one meal, one memory at a time. You thought the silence meant disconnection, that the lack of contact meant the bond was fading, that maybe, just maybe, he was no longer feeling you. But you were wrong, because this is what the divine feminine learns in her maturity. You don't need his words to know his soul is trembling. You feel it. You feel it in your own body, in the sudden tightness in your chest that doesn't belong to you, in the tears that rise for no logical reason, in the sleepless nights where your dreams feel more real than the day. He doesn't have to tell you what he's going through. Your body already knows, because your body has become a mirror, not a mirror of his wounds, but a mirror of his awakening. And just like a mirror doesn't hold, chase, or correct, it reflects. It stays steady, still, true. And right now, that's your power, because the closer the masculine gets to truth, the more intense the physical symptoms become. And not just in his body, but in yours. You'll feel his collapse through emotional waves. You'll feel his soul tug through aches in your chest, back, womb. You'll feel his pull in your lower belly, in your dreams, in that sharp longing that comes and goes without context. You'll feel him trying to come back into alignment, and you'll know he's not gone. He's reconfiguring, and you are the space where that reconfiguration is reflected. But this is also the moment when you must ask, am I confusing his pain with mine? Am I absorbing what I was never meant to carry? Am I allowing myself to feel without becoming his container? Because yes, you're connected. Yes, your nervous systems are tethered. Yes, your fields overlap. But union doesn't require you to lose yourself in his process. It requires you to remain embodied in yours. The more you hold your center, the more your body becomes a guidepost, not a sponge. You are not here to absorb his awakening. You are here to show him what embodied love looks like in the middle of it. And that begins with this knowing: I trust what I feel, but I do not collapse because of it. So what does that look like? It looks like listening to your body when it tells you he's near. It looks like breathing through the contractions of grief that suddenly rise. It looks like giving yourself rest when you wake up carrying emotional weight that isn't yours. It looks like staying grounded while his soul reaches for you through the dark. And the more you honor your own rhythms, the more you return to your own stillness, the more your body begins to stabilize the entire field between you. Because he's been living in distortion for too long. Disconnection, self-abandonment, numbness. And now, your clarity is calling him back to coherence, not through control, not through effort, but through your frequency. Because when you are into your body, you invite him to return to his. And that's where reunion begins. Not in words, not in explanations, but in the slow, quiet remembrance of what truth feels like in the body. He will feel it, not just as an ache, not just as tension or fatigue, but as direction. He'll feel the pull toward presence, toward peace, toward the part of him that only activates when your frequency is near. And whether you speak or not, whether you're in contact or not, whether it's been days or years, your body will continue speaking to his. Through dreams, through emotion, through energetic memory. So if you've been feeling the symptoms, if you've noticed your own body shifting, know this: you're not imagining it. You're not making it up. You're not too sensitive. You're awake. You're connected. You're mirroring something sacred. Because the feminine doesn't just wait for union. She becomes the field that births it. And when the masculine is ready, when the soul finally breaks through the resistance, when the body stops rejecting what it can no longer deny, he'll return, not to the woman who begged for the connection, but to the woman who embodied it. The woman who knew the difference between collapse and compassion, between absorption and alignment, between echo and truth. The woman who became a mirror, not for his pain, but for his becoming. And when that moment comes, there won't be confusion. There won't be imbalance. There won't be a need to explain what you both already know in your bones, because both of your bodies will say it first. We are ready. You may not see it, you may not hear it, but if you feel it, you're right. Because before his mind can accept it, before his heart can admit it, his body is already aligning with the truth that something in him still longs for you, still reaches for your energy in the silence, still remembers the peace it only felt in your presence. But the body never lies. And right now, his body is preparing for something that his ego still resists. His restlessness, his weight shifts, his strange dreams, the tightness in his chest, the sudden, overwhelming fatigue, the emotional waves that come out of nowhere. It's all part of a sacred recalibration, because he cannot step into reunion carrying the same armor. He cannot approach the truth you've become while still hiding from his own. And so the body steps in to purge, to slow him down, to cleanse the illusions, to remove what the soul no longer agrees to carry. You don't have to make sense of every symptom. You don't have to chase confirmation. You don't have to watch his every move, because your body knows too. You feel him for a reason. You ache without warning for a reason. You wake in the night, whispering his name for a reason. Union is first felt in the unseen, and then the body begins to echo it. He may still look away, he may still stay silent, but the truth is rising and his body is already answering the call. So stand in your knowing, stand in your frequency, stand in the peace of what your soul has never doubted. His body is preparing, and what's meant to align always finds its way back.